Good morning. How are you? Well, it's a nice day here. Very slightly overcast. Temperature decent, livable. Hope it is good where you are. It's kind of interesting how we're in a time that requires a lot of adaptation. JFK, one of my heroes, always said life's not fair. And you could say that the combination of our political situation, in which the country is divided between basically quiet and not so quiet insurrectionists, and on the other side, Democrats, small d, who are both Democrats and Republicans, but also independents. And we see in this poll about the Supreme Court that people who are independents are a little more resistant. But we have a combination of a political problem, a health problem, environmental problem, a level of debate which is accusatory but with false premises and lies. So that's our atmosphere. In that, we see people asking, how is the CDC changing what it said before? And there are stories about confusion, but I don't see the confusion if the policy changes to meet the emerging facts. And in this case, that's the Delta variant. And it looks like we're headed toward more masks, but it looks like we're also going to double down on enforcing the vaccine, no vaccine persons. In other words, your record of getting a vaccine is going to be your passport to go to restaurants, to travel. Many of us are just going to hunker down because to rely on others for our own safety is dangerous. And the CDC has a report now that even if double vaccinated, you can carry a load of the Delta variant that you can pass to others. So we have a responsibility, not just to ourselves, to protect ourselves, but to be aware that we can carry, without it affecting us, asymptomatic, if you will, a disease that could hurt others. And based on the state you're in, you have more or less protection because there is more or less of a spread of the vaccine to people. But right now, according to the reports, every state has a problem. No one is safe in that sense. It's just degrees of safety. Now on the Hill, we have this question about infrastructure. I am encouraged that some people agree to something, but I don't know what they've agreed to. That is to say, they have general subject outlines. They don't have agreement on how they're going to pay for it, and none of it is written down. And that's not to say that there won't be an agreement, because the Hill is a place that can put together packages in a way that you would never do your own business. And they say, watching how a bill is born is like watching how sausage is made. I still think that there are problems here. And, we tend to risk the coalition among the Dems the further we reach for Republicans. So Bernie Sanders, for example, may find himself the odd person out when it comes to vote for the $1 trillion bill, that is the bill with the Republicans, for fear of what it will do to the $3.5 trillion bill that is the Democrats' proposal, requiring 50 votes plus the vice president. So I would like to see people singing Kumbaya. I remain to be persuaded by events that can happen. On the Trump front, we found out that Trump, and this is no surprise, was repeatedly giving BS claims of fraud in voting to Rosen, the AG, in the final days, which is just one more example of why the nation desires and needs to have an accounting, just like our four heroes said at the hearing a couple of days ago. So we have to deal with these dubious claims. Sort of wandering around in my mind, we're coming to the end of the month, the virus is increasing, and we have no protection against those who would be evicted, or for the landlords who are shouldering these properties without being paid for them, their own income. So that's not very good. I think going far afield of my expertise in sports to the gymnast Biles, I've learned something that maybe you all knew, which is that when they do those complicated twists in the air, they have to keep a balance in their mind to execute it. And if they lose sight of where they are at the speeds they're doing it, with the vigor that they do it, they can hurt themselves seriously. Now, Biles apparently suffered what they call twisties. So this is not just some psychological thing that she's taken by the fact that people are counting on her. She had this experience in which, while in the act of doing her gymnastic exercise, she didn't know where she was. And that's why she twisted the way she did. And this is a proven condition for these expert gymnasts. And some stop their career because of it, because they can never quite get over that. So I thought that was interesting. On a personal note, there's a guy, Jim Polk, who was an investigative reporter par excellence, who got a Pulitzer for his research and investigative reporting for a less-known newspaper on Watergate. And he did lots of investigative reporting, powerful stuff. And he's 83 and he died yesterday or the day before. And he hasn't been writing since his late 70s, but he also founded an investigative journalism group. And I met him because I was prosecuting a Congressman, Dan Flood, and the defendant that I was using, who we were going to use as a witness, Rabbi Pinter, was pleading guilty in New York. And we didn't broadcast it. Nobody knew about it. But Jim calls me up out of the blue and says, I know something's happening today. I just want to know which courtroom it is. And because of that, Ida Libby Dengrove has a sketch of the long-haired hippie prosecutor standing next to Rabbi Pinter. And that day, several other witnesses pleaded guilty, and then Dan Flood, a mustachioed congressman from Pennsylvania, was prosecuted, and ultimately he was chased out of Congress. So I remember him today because he had such energy and such talent. And I guess the key in life is that if it's a work of art, what you leave behind is an imprint for others to remember and to model themselves on. And Jim had a lot to commend himself for that. So I hope you have a good day, and we'll see what happens on the Hill and elsewhere. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.